Once upon a time, there was a peasant. He had a hard life, working all year round, little better off than a slave, and with no say in what went on. He was diseased, he was downtrodden, and he was dirty. Who on earth would want to have been a medieval peasant?
Peasants worked hard daily. They possessed little money and little food to eat. Men and women alike worked for everything they owned. Their lords required at least 3 days of work every week. In return, they were given a place to live. They had small cottages with only 1 to 2 rooms. The inside of a serf's home was very simple. Peasants lived very close together in small villages. Some estates even had their own church. Lords lived in huge castles apart from the village. The peasants worked in fields outside of the village.
In medieval times, what you ate largely depended on how rich you were. Serfs made almost all their own food. Peasants' simple diet consisted mainly of vegetables, coarse brown bread, grain, cheese, and soup. Serfs rarely got to eat meat or poultry. The rich ate wheat and meat, which was expensive and prestigious. Vegetables were considered peasant food. Peasants ate greens, cabbage, carrots, beets, onions, and garlic. They also ate fruits such as pomegranates, lemons, bitter oranges, and grapes. They ate with their hands because forks hadn't yet been invented and they didn't have plates. Also, they didn't have clean water, so some peasants drank up to a gallon of wine or beer a day. The peasants' simple diet made them very weak. They had very little food, which made it hard because they worked so many hours in the field doing manual labor each day.
Medieval women, in fact, worked long and hard with no immediate rescue in sight. Most belonged to the peasant class. They worked for their father or husband or were indentured into large feudal estates. They often did the same backbreaking work as their men, but women usually received lower wages. They would perform endless labor around the home and often in the fields, bore children, and take care of their families. Sometimes they formed part of a floating population that roamed the country at harvest time. Others were rented out by their fathers to other households and returned for wages and clothing. They, however, could receive land from their husband or father, but that was never the case because it was almost always granted to the first son of the household. So women taught the girls of the household how to cook and clean. Females in peasant life were poor and powerless.
I know it's hard when you're a peasant, trying to make life kinda pleasant. trying to ward off the illness while still paying taxes. Oh.
Let's go! All the snobby rich kings and queens that run around being so mean, asking for taxes, making you work. If I had coverage, I would show them who's boss.
Oh, it's so hard to think about what life would be like if
The peasants ruled the earth. Starting was owning land. Our own church, no work. We would be so hip. Hey!
Okay, that's a wrap.